It is so good to see you. For those of you maybe that are new around North Shore, I know we have new folks that are always coming, checking things out, or coming online for the very first time. I'm Wolfgang, I'm part of the team here, and so honored to get to be part of this Worth It series that we're in right now. And to remind you now, I hate to do this, but it's August, right? Meaning that it's almost fall, meaning that it's almost time to go back to school. I mean, what happened? It feels like summer just got here, right? And then all of a sudden, we're looking at it maybe possibly being on its way out quickly. In fact, I don't know, maybe your world is like mine, my social media world, friends from different parts of the country. Some of their kids have had school back for like 3 weeks, these friends of mine. It's crazy. Others starting this week, many, taking my son a couple weeks to start college, all this crazy. So it's here is the bottom line. And kind of in the spirit of back to school, I thought how I'd get us started today was with a little pop quiz. Weren't you glad to hear that, right? But this is a really easy one. This is one of those, not essay or even multiple choice. It's one of those matching ones. Remember those quizzes? Those were the best because you could kind of process of elimination figure out. But this is some stats on current headlines, things that are happening kind of currently in our world. We'll pop up the answers on the side and we'll walk through them one by one. So for instance, number one, we're just gonna match inflation with what's happening over here in the world. And again, we made these slides, wrote this up a little earlier in the week, so there's been some new news this week, but things didn't actually change all that much. So what matched letter what to number one, to inflation? Anybody know what it is? It's E, that's correct. Now it's 8.5 instead of 9.1. Woo, right? Okay. How about number two here? The Dow Jones, which one do you think that is? It's actually F. It's down 7% so far year to date, 7%. So hey, not too bad, right? Number three, how about this one? B, yes, I hear pain. People know this very well. That was as of last week. Who knows where it is today? Probably more, who knows? Number four, gas prices, up or down? That's A. They're up 25% over last year. Came down just a skosh this week, but what's a couple pennies? Number five, the tech-heavy NASDAQ, which one do you think that is? That is C, 16% down. And then finally, the percentage of gray hair on Scotty's head. Process of elimination, yes, that's right, friends. It's letter D, 72%. I know, I sat behind him in a staff meeting a couple weeks ago. It's unbelievable. He is putting the senior and senior pastor, that guy, I'll tell you what. So in all fairness, it is a hard job, and that's actually what always happens. But anyway, he wears it well, and I hope he has a wonderful vacation, and we'll see you when you get back. So anyway, now you'll notice a trend. They've gone away now, but the trend you probably noticed there was that the things that you would love to see going up are actually going down. And flip side, the things that you would really love to see going down, they're going up. Because that's just the way it is, right? We understand that, particularly when it comes to all things financial and economies and these different kinds of things. Sometimes this happens in spectacular ways, right? Take this as an example. Some of you may be familiar. There was once a little company based in Houston, Texas. This is a share of their stock. You might have heard of them, perhaps. Enron, any of that ring a bell to anybody? Yeah, there's moaning in the crowd. And for those of you who don't know, or maybe joining us online, maybe you're too young to realize kind of what Enron was, but long and short of it is, Enron was this can't miss, guaranteed up and to the right, all green numbers kind of company that was seen as this magic moneymaker, right? Until it came to light that they'd actually been fudging on the numbers. They'd been cheating. They even had their accounting firm in with it. It brought down entire companies vanished over this, including Enron, which at its peak was worth $70 billion and in a matter of just a few years was worth exactly zero. I guarantee you there's people in this room or watching who had their portfolios or their investments impacted either directly or indirectly by what happened back around 2000, 2001, 2002. Even though it's 20 years ago, it still lives as that example. Incidentally, I was trying to get an authentic stock certificate to kind of use in this illustration, but it turns out real Enron stock certificates are now $300, which is actually more than was ever worth as an actual share of stock, which is sort of an ironic thing. It's now a collector's item instead of an investment vehicle. That's a little screwy to think about, huh? But that's not the last time it happened, right? I mean, how many examples do we have? I mean, just try to think something a little more recently. Maybe you've seen the documentary about LuLaRoe, or I'm sorry, yeah, LuLaRoe. Yeah, some of you say it with bitterness because you know what I'm talking about. This is the colorful leggings company that several folks hoping to supplement their income threw thousands of dollars into, only to realize it was not exactly what it promised to be, and that many of those $1,000 would never come back along the way. Example after example after example. Investment opportunities, too good to be true because they were. They were. Now I bring this up today because what I want to talk about today is investing. And I don't have any specific advice on what stock to buy Dutch, by the way, or which sectors are gonna outperform over the next few quarters, whether you should be in gold or silver, none of those different kinds of things. I am not an economist. I am not a financial advisor. I am a pastor. But I do know about an investment strategy that is guaranteed to pay off. In fact, it's a raging bull market going on all around you, and you may not even realize it, but I don't want you to miss out on the opportunity. And it's based on the ultimate insider tip. You know how insiders tip, right? There's insider tips work, right? There's folks who have unique perspective or inside information who take that information, pass it along to others so they can take advantage and profit from it themselves, all right? I got a tip for you. Are you ready? You don't seem all that interested. Are you ready for this tip, all right? Some of you have a pen, you might wanna write this down. You may wanna put a note on your phone, something like that. This investment tip comes from the ultimate insider, Jesus himself. And here's what he says. This is the tip, Matthew 16. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me, they'll find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man, speaking of himself, Jesus, is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. There it is. Did you get it down? Matthew 16, 25 to 27. An investment strategy guaranteed, backed by God himself. Now, of course, it's not an investment tip about where to put your retirement or your kids' college funds, as important as those things are. It's a tip about where to put your life, where to invest your one and only life. Now, what does this mean? Well, Jesus says, you get one ride on the big spinning rock. What are you gonna do with it? You gonna try to hold on to it? You're gonna try to grasp it tight, hold on to it, save it? You do that, you'll find it slipping through your fingers. It says, but you open your hands. You lay down your life. And I'm telling you, you invest that way, you'll reap dividends you never dreamt of, he says. But you have to decide where you're going to invest. Here's his advice. Invest your life in his priorities, in his mission, in his way, and you will see huge returns guaranteed by God himself. And of course, this isn't just about financially, although that's part of it. It's about all that we are. It's our entire lives. Jesus says, you have a choice about where you will invest your life. But you gotta be so smart about this. You don't get to pick twice. Be very wise, because this is the most important investment of all. So let me ask you, where are you investing your life? I'm not talking about where you say you're investing your life, because words are cheap. I'm talking about actually where are you putting the resources that are your life? And I'm gonna be blunt today, I wanna push you just a little, okay? Because I like you guys. And I don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. You know, sometimes we think about the resources of our lives, we kind of categorize them. You can think of them in different ways, but kind of for sake of expediency, we sort of talk about this idea of these 3 T's, right? We have our time, we have our talent, and we have our treasure. They're kind of the things that each of us has. Each of us has different amounts perhaps, but all of us has those 3 things in our lives. Treasure's the most obvious one, right? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at the book of Proverbs. We're not gonna talk very much about that at all today, as a matter of fact. And of course, talents, we all know what that is. Everyone in this room has been given different gifts, abilities, talents. Over my 11 plus years now at North Shore, I've always been amazed at the incredible diversity of talents that we have in this place, have had in this place. I mean, everything from professional athletes to corporate CEOs, from software moguls to stay-at-home parents, from actors to authors, from rocket scientists to brain surgeons. I mean, it's all across the spectrum. And you may not fall into any of those categories, but you fall in some category, some gift, some ability that you have. You gotta choose what to do with it. So we all have some amount of treasure, we all have some amount of talent, and of course, we all have some amount of time. But time is the one that's kind of unique from the other two, isn't it? Because time is that one resource you cannot get more of. Now, you could get more treasure, right? If you start a new business, you do something different, work an extra job, get yourself some more treasure. You can get another talent, you can build a skill, go back to school, refine your abilities, etc., etc. But outside of maybe shifting the dial slightly based on what you eat or how you exercise, the reality is the amount of time you get is actually not really up to you. All of us still get 24 hours in a day, right? And based on the current average life expectancy, the average person lives 28,835 days. That's about 79 years of life for those who are doing the quick 365 math there, all right? That's approximately, now some people have more, some people have less, but that's the average. I did the math, actually, I asked Siri to do the math, and she told me I have lived 17,489 days. That's how many days I've been alive. That means I am most likely well past halfway on my rock ride, right? It's kind of sobering to think about, isn't it? No. But friends, come on, right? Death rate's still hovering right there at 100%. You know what I'm talking about? And I really don't mean to be flip about this because it's the reality. In fact, this last week I went to a memorial service for a friend's daughter. She was 21 years old. Beautiful, brilliant, talented singer. The people that talked about her told about what an amazing human being she was, how special she made them feel, all those things. And in just over a year from diagnosis with cancer, she was dead. 21 years old. I sat there and cried at this thing. To be quite frank, I was there to support my friend. I'd never even met his daughter. And yet the reality, the reminder, friends, yeah? Well, Jesus says, however much time you get, you gotta choose where to invest it. But don't be casual about this. This is way too important for that. This is the most important thing. Think about the investment horizon that you're facing. He says, don't just invest your life for 21 years or for 51 years or for 101 years. That's not your investment horizon. He says, there is a reality beyond 60 or 80 years or whatever the average is. That's not all there is. Now, that may be all the time that these bodies last us, but that is not the end of the story. There's a reality beyond what we see. He says, you are more than just your body. You are a soul that will last forever. You will last forever. Your body won't. Some of us were happy to get rid of this one. You know what I'm talking about? But your soul will last forever. Look again at what he says. Whoever wants to save their life, hold on to it. You're gonna wind up losing it. But if you lose your life for me, you'll find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world temporary, yet forfeit their soul forever? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? What's the price tag? For the Son of Man is gonna come in his Father's glory with his angels, And then he will reward each person according to what they have done. He says, there is a reality far greater than what you can see. It's a reality that should inform how we think about all this stuff, our gifts, our time, our talents, and so on. When it comes to thinking about where to invest your one and only life, do it with an eye on eternity, Jesus says. Make sure you pay attention to something that will truly last, your real horizon, your soul, not just however many years you might live in this planet. Now, of course, this doesn't mean we can't enjoy this life. There's many things about this life. I love to travel. I love to hang out with my family. I love to eat. That'll come as a shocker for some of you, right? I enjoy so much about this life. But friends, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't make the mistake of thinking this is all there is. Because relative to eternity, this life is like that. And I've grown up hearing people say that. And I always thought, oh, that's silly. But guess what? Now I'm getting old. And it's true. It goes by in a flash. In fact, in the New Testament, Jesus' brother, a guy named James, he writes this, it's in the New Testament. He says, listen, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money, you don't even know what's gonna happen tomorrow, he says. What is your life? He says, you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we'll live and do this or that. How do you say? Life like a mist. Here today, gone tomorrow, like that fog over the old Wayne golf course on the way over here this morning. You know what I'm talking about? It was there when I drove in early this morning, 5:30. I'll bet you it wasn't there when you came by. It's gone. Or think of it another way. I was trying to think of how do you picture this mist? I thought, I know, bathroom air freshener from the staff bathroom, right? I'm gonna put this back soon, believe me, it gets well used. But anyway, it's like a mist, he says. That's all there is to it. Born, school, job, retire, dead. Some of you looked away, you maybe missed it. Can we do it again? That's how fast it is. School, married, ooh, rough marriage. That one went fast. You know what I'm talking about? That one went really fast. You get my point? Am I lying? I'm not lying to you. Friends, I'm not lying to you. I'll give you this, you smell good. They smell good, don't they? Yeah. But let's be honest, even the smell's gonna fade. I'm not trying to be morbid, because I love living. One of my dreams is to be fully alive. Most people, I don't think, are. Awake, alive. I think that's how God called us to be. But in light of forever, our life is like a mist that is here one day and gone the next. Let me give you another example. Don't believe me? What is the name and occupation of your great, 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 great grandfather? 5 greats. Most of us have no idea. Don't know their name, let alone what they did for a living. This is the reality, Jesus says. La, 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 la. Don't do that, Jesus says. Don't fall into the trap of just making investment plans for the next 60 or 80 years. Because there's a reality so much bigger. Or to put another way, you don't just need a 50-year plan, you need a 500-year plan. See, one of the most important things that a financial advisor will help you plan for is how long are you gonna actually need the money? They'll try to project that, right? If you sat down with your financial advisor and they said, oh, I got good news for you. I was just running your numbers and it looks like you're gonna have more than enough. In fact, you'll probably end up with plenty left over. And you say, that's fantastic. That's what I've been working for all these years. Are you sure? And they say, oh yeah, I did the math. It looks like you're totally good until Thursday. Thursday? What happens on Thursday? Well, I don't know. We could just pick a day. Why'd you pick Thursday? I rounded up, he said, right? It's silliness, right? You'd never sit with an investment advisor who cues you up to such a short timeline knowing there's so much more ahead, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Are you tracking? Friends, we're living like Thursday's it. When who knows how many more centuries are ahead. You were made for eternity. And I'm gonna be even more direct with my Christian friends that are here today. Why are you only planning for 60 or 80 years? Have you forgotten that we've got an eternal God that says you're an eternal soul? That's secure in Christ forever? Have you forgotten this? Why in the world would you build your life around a 60 or 80 year plan? This is just prelude, friends. Warm up. It's the first period of a hockey game. There's 2 more to play. Maybe even overtime, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to investing our time, our talent, our treasure, we can never confuse where our true home is, what true riches are. Do you hear me? So invest your life like you believe it and not just sing about it in songs. That's what Jesus means when he says, lose your life for him. Building our life around his agenda, not ours. Things that matter to him, not just to us. And you look around this room, or those of you watching online, the other people you might be watching with, you know what the only eternal thing is you'll see around you right now? It's people. It's the only eternal thing you're seeing right now. Because you know what, this building, it'll crumble like every other building eventually will. And that screen you're watching it on, it'll break. You'll get rid of it. It doesn't last. But people last forever. So invest your life with eternal reality in mind. Because it's great that you got a 50-year plan. What's your 500-year plan? Because you will still exist 500 years from now. You are a soul designed for eternity, friends. You have a plan for that? Are you making decisions now that you'll be happy with about that? Because Jesus says there are investments that you can now make that will bring amazing returns later. Look at that last line in the text from Matthew 16. It says, the Son of Man, again, Jesus speaking of himself, he often did it that way. He's going to come in his Father's glory with his angels. And then what happens? He will reward each person according to what they've done. Now, some of you are a little confused about that. Let me just be something clear here. Is that saying that we're saved because of what we've done? Not at all, friends. We are saved by grace through faith in what Jesus did for us, okay? And if you'd like to know more about that, your eternal reality and how you can set yourself up for success in that, we would love to talk to you about that. It comes in form of embracing Jesus' amazing grace and gift in your life. But again and again in the New Testament, Jesus talks about there being rewards for things that we have done in this life. That even in God's restored creation, heaven, that there will be different rewards, different crowns, different treasures, different thrones, different riches. And again, I don't pretend to fully understand this. There's a lot of debate, a lot of mystery as to exactly what it means. But all I know is Jesus keeps talking about it. Again and again, he points to this eternal reality where we somehow experience reward based on how we invested our lives. And one of the most famous parables of them all, Jesus tells about a king. He's going away for a while. He pulls 3 of his guys in. He says, hey, I want to give each of you a little bit of money. I want you to take care of it while I'm gone. So eventually he comes back. And 2 of the guys, they've taken the money and they've grown it. They've handled it wisely. They've multiplied it. They put it to work. The 3rd one, he took what God had given him. He buried it. All kinds of excuses why. But he decided to hide it, tuck it away, don't use it. And the master is not happy about it. In fact, it's very harsh language that Jesus uses when he tells this story. He comes to the one who just hid it and made excuses. He says, you wicked, lazy servant. These are not words you want to hear from God, right? I didn't give you a gift to just have you bury it. I meant you to put it to work. The classic, if you don't use it, you lose it. So God takes it back from him. He gave it in the first place. It's his right to take it back. And so I wonder what gift God's given you. Is it in play? Or have you buried it? Your time, your talent, your treasure. You may not have as much as somebody else. That's okay. Who said you had to use their talents? You just got to use yours. You may not have much, but you have something. And so how can you take a little step toward using what God has given you to serve him and others? Because just start using what God has given you and watch what he does. Watch how he multiplies it. Like the loaves and the fish in that amazing miracle story. Just watch how things multiply in the master's hand. Watch how the impact goes. See, that's the insider tip for us. This Jesus who sits eternal perspective, he knows. He says, my goodness, please invest your life in a way that you will someday be glad about. Don't waste it. Invest it in my purpose for this world, in people, through generosity, through serving others, through building your life around Christ's will and his priorities. That is an investment that will grow faster than the amount of gray on Scotty's head, friends. And it's not just far off in the future. It's in this life as well. I can't tell you how many times when we're kind of walking around campus talking to people who serve and just going up and saying, gosh, thank you so much for serving. I'm glad you were here early. Thank you for being part of that. You know what we often hear from people back? Thank you, they'll say. Thank you for the chance to be part of this thing. It's amazing, you know? I kind of almost put up with my week just so I can get here to be part of this on Sundays. We hear that over and over again. And it's not, I'll tell you, there is nothing sweeter than being used to touch someone else's life. As the most fulfilling thing you will ever experience in your life. And I'm just talking about as pastor. I'm talking about every human being. Be part of touching someone else's life. Whether it's volunteers who lead groups of teenagers as they're walking through those tricky waters of adolescence. All those hormones, you know what I'm saying? Or volunteers that are part of the care team that sit with those that are struggling and just let them know somebody cares and prays for them, supports them. People who welcome folks on campus or who do things behind the scenes that nobody ever sees or enter data or serve abroad or all these different kinds of ways to be involved, friends. They've chosen to invest their life in what God is doing, and they would tell you it's worth it. The benefits are incredible. The investment pays off. It's funny, I was talking about this message with my kids. We were driving around. They wanted to know what I was talking about. I've got 3 teenagers. And one of them, a couple of them have served for a long time in children's ministry here at the church. It's been their call. We never pushed them to do it. They wanted to do it. And one of them, who's almost 18, she said, you know, what's cool, Dad, is like when I help out in children's, I feel like I'm in 4th grade all over again, she says. Now, some of you don't remember 4th grade. It's been a long time. Maybe it's time to get a little taste of 4th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you'll find something there that you didn't know was there. Maybe you'll remember. The investment pays off. But it's not just in this life. More importantly, it's in the one to come, friends. And this is the one that truly matters, because it's not a mist. In that parable of the king and his servants, look at what he says to those who use their gift and put it to work. Scott talked about this last week, Matthew 25. The master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. This is an incredible return on investment here, friends. As much as they multiplied the gifts, none of it holds a candle to what the master gives them in this moment. 3 kinds of dividends. We see them really quick here, right? First, God's affirmation. Well done, good and faithful servant. Can I tell you, just the thought of someday standing before Jesus and him looking and saying, hey, Wolfgang, way to go. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Then what else? They get a promotion. More dividends. You have been faithful with a few things. Here's more. Here's more. There are some, let's just be blunt, God can't trust you with great blessings because you aren't doing so hot with the little ones. What could happen, friends? What could happen? I know I'm messing with you today, but what could happen? A life that is truly life Jesus said he came to bring us. Don't settle for less. And then, of course, this last one, a celebration. Come and share in your master's happiness. Friends, that's a party you don't want to miss. And I'll tell you, the happiest people I know are those who are using what they have, their time, their talent, their treasures for God. And when that day comes when God does an audit on their life, there will be no funny math like there was with Arthur Anderson. Because friends, that audit's coming. Will your life show green or red? Will you invested your life in things that matter forever? Or that? Can I, as your friend and your pastor, suggest that you start preparing for that now? Start investing your life. Well, what does it look like? I gotta finish up. You ask yourself, well, how am I investing my time? Every one of us gets 168 hours a week. Let's just be really honest, real practical here. How many of those hours are you using to serve others? You figure that out. It's between you and God. That's not my job. Figure it out. Figure out where it is. Where would you like it to be? Same thing with your talent. What are those talents you have? What are creative ways those could be put to use to benefit God's kingdom and other people? And of course, what about treasure? How are you doing with investing that? Not just with a 50-year plan, but a 500-year plan. A great way to get started, to dip your toe in the water, was mentioned earlier, Community Serve Day, happening next week. It's one of those things that we're so proud to get to coordinate as a church. Every year, we just call off a Sunday. Next Sunday, we will not be here on campus because we will be worshiping at schools throughout the Seattle area. 32 different schools that will be helping prepare for the new year, beautifying. The lights just changed? Setting the mood for Community Serve Day, apparently. So there you go. But you want to be part of that experience. I've loved doing it as a family. That's been a blessing in my life. But no matter how old you are, what your abilities are, you can still be involved because there's like indoor stuff, bulletin boards, sorting for teachers, as well, of course, as campus beautification. Sign up at communityserveday.org. But any successful investor will tell you it is not about one-time investment. Not about one-time investment. It's about ongoing investment. That's the best way to maximize returns. So let me ask, what does it look like to join a team around here? Whether it's our next gen team, investing in the next generation of students and kids, or care teams that are helping meet needs in our community, prayer teams, online teams, weekend teams, hospitality teams, global mission teams, literally the facilities teams, security teams, data teams, the list goes on and on and on, friends. You can sign up to be part of one of those. That's investing your life. You can grab that connection card that's in the back of the seat in front of you, put your information on it. On the back side, it even says, serve on a team. I would like to serve on a team, and you can mark one of those areas. That's a ginormous QR code that'll take you to the exact same thing, okay? Pretty cool looking, isn't it? So you can be part of that. It's all it takes to get started. Don't wait to begin investing your life, because I can promise you this, friends, there will be a day when you will be so glad you did. It's so worth it. You wish you got in on Amazon when it first came out? This doesn't compare. Don't invest your life based on however long you'll live in this world, because our lives are a mist. And this life is just preparation for the next. It's prelude, it's training, it's the first quarter of a 4-quarter game, friends. What's your 500-year plan? Because the wisest investment you will ever make is when you say, God, I want to invest my one and only life for eternity. I give it to you, whatever that means. I'm gonna get in the game. No more sitting on the sidelines. I'm not gonna be a spectator anymore. I want in. An old mentor of mine, I'll end with this. Old mentor of mine used to always say this to me, you've heard this maybe before, only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. It's the only eternal investment plan, guaranteed returns. Where are you investing yours? So would you bow your head? Let's pray together about this. Whew. Okay, God, thank you. I want to thank you first for all the gifts that you have invested in this room and those watching online. Amazing talents, time, resources. It's extraordinary, God. With great blessing comes great responsibility. And so I pray, Lord, you will help us to be those who do not invest for the short term, but keep the long term in mind, who walk with you on this adventure and are part of your movement, not just so we can enjoy the beautiful blessings that come with serving in this life, but ultimately so we can enjoy those beautiful blessings that will come when you look at us and you say, way to go. Way to go. Lord, I long for that day. I thank you for your grace along the path, because many times we botch this, but you keep inviting us back in. Some here today, it's time to get back in. And so I thank you, Lord. I want to build my life on you. In the name of Jesus, amen.